Howdy, howdy, howdy! Dr. Impact here. Welcome to another episode of my Big Fat Pull List. And
That's how you're starting the show.
That's how I'm starting the show.
You're Sheriff Woody.
I'm Sheriff Woody, yeah.
Can I step out preemptively?
There's a snake in my boot.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
I am joined by my two compatriots here. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I am here from the mountaintop, Dragonus Prime.
And I am down in the valley below, Mr. X.
You know, we've done a few of these guys. We've done, or one or two at least, I think. We our new series of episodes, one-shot reviews.
And this is the first for Volume 4.
Yeah, for Volume 4, for Season 4. This is
first
our first
one-shot.
Yeah.
I'm part of the first.
That's right. Well, and I think
yes.
the book that we're reviewing today, it really, nothing against Smurfy and Pistol. They both would have obviously had their own thoughts, but they aren't as invested. Yeah,
that is a perfect
in these characters. So
perfect verb.
It makes sense that it's the three of us to review this book today.
Yeah,
we are reviewing what should have been a miniseries and was turned into a one-shot, The Mighty Crusaders, The Shield, from Archie Comics, by Rob Liefeld, and kind of written by Rob Liefeld, but not really.
Rob Liefeld. I'm sorry. I had a frog in my throat.
Wow.
I think I audibly heard our audience groan from the future.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's from the Rob Liefeld future that he takes every story from. It's the exact same damn story every time. A little background before Mr. X and Dragonus and I get into our thoughts on the book. For those of you who don't know, Rob Liefeld is a big fan of the Mighty Crusaders, and he wanted to relaunch.
I'm sorry. Whoa.
Okay.
If he was such a big fan,
I'll get to that.
He wouldn't have f***ed this up so hard.
I was going to say I'll get to that,
and that's all I'll say about that.
He wanted to relaunch them, so he finally worked out a deal with Archie to do a mini-series where I think it was a 4-issue miniseries, and each issue was going to be a focus on a different Crusader, the first one being the Shield.
Oh, I didn't realize each issue was going to be a different member.
That's what I had heard, is that each issue was going to be focused on a different character. Now,
and that's interesting because it would be 4 issues, so
who would have been...
one was the Shield, what are the other 3 characters?
Certainly speculate.
Who do you pick? Because there is a roster of awesome characters.
Yeah, and different characters have been thrust into the spotlight at different times over the years, so it could be anybody. But what happened was, when this all went down, Rob announced that he was doing the book, released some images, and one of the very first images that he released was the image of the Shield with a beard, a white beard and white hair, and it was still the Shield uniform, but instead of it being red, white, and blue, it was gray and white. And so it looked like Old Man Shield, essentially. And we all thought, okay, this looks like...
Cable.
Right, it looks like Rob's doing Cable Shield. Fine, whatever. Then, the next thing we know, we hear that there is a store-specific variant cover by a different artist that was released that showed the Shield and Old Man Shield on the cover together. Well, Rob kind of lost his mind and said that ruined a major spoiler and plot point in the book, and as a result, he was walking away from the project before the script was turned in. The art and colors were done, but the script had not been turned in. Now, we had already seen the picture of Old Man Shield, so none of us knew what he meant by something being spoiled. But what ended up happening was...
Now you've told us that this here spoils something, so...
Yes.
You're the one who spoiled shit.
Right.
Not the image.
So now... Archie then had to bring in David Gallagher to sit down and look at this art that Rob has put together and try to somehow cobble a story together based on that. And then it was announced that there would be no more issues. It would be a one-shot. So before we get into our personal reviews, for the people listening who don't know, that's the backstory.
Okay. Yes. There you know. And now you know.
Yes.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yes. So
G.I. Joe. I had to do it. Smurfy's not here. I had to
I'm actually kind of surprised Dragonus didn't jump in.
I was trying to think of what the other half of the battle might have been, actually. It's always puzzled me all these years.
Oh. Well, okay, the three of us, it's no secret, we are the three that know these characters various stages throughout their launches, and for anyone who wants to learn about their history, we've got a great 5-part miniseries.
Absolutely.
In the archives, in the back issue bins. Go check that out, talking about the whole history of the Mighty Crusaders.
But, yes, listen to it.
Yes, because the characters are fascinating.
They are.
And this could have been, and I'm not a Rob Liefeld hater. I'm not a Rob Liefeld fan. I'm indifferent. Some things I love. I grew up in the 90s, so I love his X-Force. I love the early Youngblood, however goofy it is. When he shows up and does art, even if it's bad Liefeld art, it takes me back to being a 12-year-old.
Captain America.
So I neither love nor hate Liefeld, but there is no doubt that, and it cannot be argued that, regardless of what the story was, had the miniseries been fully done with a name like Rob Liefeld attached, this could have and should have been the attention that these characters have so deserved for decades and didn't end up getting.
Absolutely agree on that. Yes. This was the name that needed to be attached to get the attention these characters deserve.
Right.
But instead, it just turned into controversy and bullshit.
Right. So, it's hard for us to give any kind of a plot recap for the book because it
had a plot.
Right. Isn't one. For something like this, because this is a little different than a regular one-shot book that we would review on an episode like this, I say let's just jump into it. Mr. X, Dragonus Prime, let's start with your thoughts.
I think there are 3 or 4 really pretty panels in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is a gorgeous full-page shot of the shield halfway through the book that is beautifully colored.
Yeah, the only problem is, in regards to that beautiful picture you're talking about, his costume is beat to f***. And in the very next page, very next panel, it is pristine and clean. There is no consistency from panel to panel. That is my biggest, as an artist, that is my biggest complaint. There are panels where it goes from 1 star, a la Captain America on his chest, to 3, to 5, to none.
Well, and Dragonus, I mean, all 3 of us are writers. All 3 of us are storytellers and creators outside of this podcast. But Dragonus, you are also an artist. So yeah, I can see, as an artist myself, I'm with you. That is,
the costume does not stay the same from page to page, and sometimes not even from panel to panel. And if you're drawing a character for your own book, they have to look the same. I mean, if it was like Liefeld did this page, McFarlane did this page, Larson did this page, okay, fine, artist interpretation. But no, it was Liefeld did this page, Liefeld did this page, Liefeld did this page.
But the strange thing is that it doesn't look like Liefeld did all the pages. Therein lies another problem. It's like, here's pristine Liefeld, and here's I'm phoning this shit in Liefeld.
Well, yeah, he wasn't done with it, I bet. Like, even the page where he's sitting in the cardboard box chair.
Yeah. compared to everything else in the book, that page is like, who did this?
Yeah.
This
Like-
isn't Liefeld art.
His inking lines are almost like it's got to be all digital art, especially with as egotistical as Liefeld is. I can't imagine he would go pencil and paper anymore. But it's like he picked the thickest brush tip setting on this.
Well, I was actually going to say, in regard to that, it felt as if there was severe inconsistency
Uh-huh.
in his inking, because let's get this out right now. Art, pencils, inks, and colors, all three were done by Liefeld. So, and there are some pages where the inking is really great.
Yeah.
There are some pages where the inking is great for half the page.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there are other pages where it's like, did you ink all of this with a Sharpie? Because there's no difference in variance in line weight whatsoever.
Also, this thing's got to be missing at least 5 or 8 pages.
Oh, this is where I'll jump in.
Okay. But then I'll hold up. But yeah, honestly, I found the whole thing really, really, really painful to read, because I love S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean,
Yeah.
Captain America fan than I am, he predates Captain America. I love S.H.I.E.L.D. And hats off to David Gallagher for doing the best he could with whatever garbage he was given.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yes.
and we'll get into the work that Gallagher put together for sure. But Mr. X, spin out of what Dragonus Prime was saying. You said that brings us to you
For $3.99 plus tax.
Oh God, that's right.
$3.99 plus tax. You are given 32 pages. Out of those 32 pages, only 20 of those pages are actually art and story. There are 12 pages of ads, and they all come at the end.
and
Literally at the end, you get 20 pages, and the next 12 fucking pages is ads for other shit.
and
That is unexcusable in the comic book world.
The pages of story that you do get, I haven't counted it, so I don't know the exact number, but I would bet a third of the actual story pages are either splash pages or double page spreads.
There are 3 double page spreads and at least 3 splash pages, and then panel pages that have no background in the back whatsoever.
There's also those couple of pages towards the back where it's nothing but 3 big long panels where you can just draw 3 quick pinups.
Exactly. This right here, story wise, it's a great setup, but what's the point of the setup if you're not going to do anything with it?
Well, and I wonder how much of this setup. So for those who are curious, the setup that we're talking about, in the story that we're given in this book, we are told that a time displaced Shield, the first Shield,
Yes.
Bill Higgins, which I'll get to that in a second because that's already a discrepancy. But the first Shield, Bill Higgins, is time displaced, and the Victoria Adams Shield, who is kind of the spirit of America in a sense, has gathered a group of multiversal versions of Crusaders together, and their job is they have to kill the original Shield's son, Joe Higgins, in order for the multiverse to survive. Well, okay, that's a conundrum. That's a hook. My question then is, how much of that hook is Rob? How much of that hook is Archie? How much of that hook was Gallagher? And I have a feeling the majority of the hook was Liefeld.
Really? Well, that makes sense because it's a bad hook.
Well, and it's not. I mean, it's like Mr. X said. It's Cable. It's Cable Shield.
Yeah.
It's Major X all over again.
Well, it's the dialogue says the original Shield, William Higgins, is stumbling through time. Let's elaborate on that a little bit more. Oh, we're not going to? Thanks.
Yeah.
We're going to put all of our focus on Joe.
Who is
And
actually the original Shield.
Who, right, in Pet Comics number
Spoiler.
1, which is the first appearance of the Shield, Joe Higgins was the original Shield. When the comics relaunched in the 60s, and there was a new Shield that met up with the Fly and founded the Crusaders, that was Joe's grandson, Bill Higgins. So, who then ends up retiring when the Red Circle stuff comes in the 80s, and then Joe comes back. So Bill, so right off the bat, it isn't even close to accurate to the original comics.
And for some backstory for anybody listening that hasn't listened to the 5-episode miniseries about the history of the Crusaders, the last time we saw these characters, the story did introduce the possibility of a multiverse, the blue ribbon, essentially. So having this story is like, oh, so we're tapping into that. We're tapping into the multiverse aspect of the Mighty Crusaders, to where we can have different versions of all of these Mighty Crusaders characters be involved in this timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff type of story. And I'm like, all right, I'm down with that if you're going to continue that. Because if you introduce this multiverse, then that means you can pay homage to all the different versions that have come before.
Right.
And maybe lead to something cohesive.
Right.
This could be Crisis on Infinite Crusaders.
It could be.
And it should have been. But it wasn't.
No. Now, I do want to ask you guys, as people who kind of know the Crusaders better than most comic readers, but aren't as obsessive and fanatical as I am.
Right.
I want to point out that the different versions of the Crusaders that show up in this book, the multiversal team of Crusaders that show up in this book, none of them have ever been shown before. This is all these versions' first appearance. And even though they may look the same, like the Captain Commando that is in here looks exactly like the Impact Captain Commando. It's that design, but it says that he's a cybernetic soldier or something. Well, the Impact Captain Commando was not. He was just a guy,
right,
who was just in Vietnam. The Black Hood that's in here looks like the Impact Black Hood, which was a guy named Nate Cray. Well, in this book, he's referred to as Kip Burland, who was the leather-clad Black Hood from the Red Circle run. So obviously, none of these versions are versions of these characters that we've ever seen. These are Rob's takes from somewhere in the multiverse.
Even Lancelot Strong?
Well, we don't know, and I'll get into that in a minute. But before I jump into that, my question for you two is, what did you think of his take on those characters? The designs, the looks of those characters.
I mean, they looked like who they were representing. There wasn't anything amazing about them. I mean, Black Hood looked like Hit Coffee almost.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like a mix between the Hit Coffee version and the Nate Cray version.
Yeah,
both from Impact.
Yeah. Captain Commando, I was always a fan of his look, so I was kind of glad to see that look return.
Sure.
The only one I don't care for costume design wise, well, I mean, Fly Girl looks like a Spider-Man with wings, green and yellow Spider-Man with wings.
Yeah, she really has a bug look to her.
Right, and then Comet is just, I don't care for the Comet design because there's nothing really about it that screams Comet to me.
It was clunky without having the typical Rob Liefeld pouches and straps
Yeah,
clunky. It wasn't very sleek, which is what Comet has kind of always been.
and I don't understand the random arrow on his chest.
No, and I get that there was some sort of um homage by putting some yellow in there to the
Sure,
comet that has the stars and moons and the pajama pant comet thing.
and then the stripe head from Impact and all
Right.
that.
So I get that, but why a big yellow arrow?
I don't think any comet has ever had a big yellow arrow,
No.
so I don't get that one at all. Um, and then the other ones, whatever. I mean, at that point, it's kind of like looking at going, this is. Well, also I went in going, this is nothing that's going to matter anyway, so I just took it
Well,
all
there
with a
is
grain of salt.
yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, and that's the problem. It should matter.
It
Mhm.
should.
It should absolutely matter,
It should.
especially if you're introducing this concept of a multiverse. It's like, oh, we can now have connections to all of these different time periods,
Hmm.
and it's just kind of it's wasted.
Yeah.
If you're going to represent different, all of these characters are a representation from a different timeline, then make them be representations of different timelines that other fans can relate to.
And it's interesting that you say that because over the last 2 years, now I've done this before. Dragonus Prime and I years ago put together a submission
Hmm.
of a relaunch pitch,
And we were turned down.
and we sent it to Archie, but we were
And then
turned
years
down.
before that, you and I
Right. So
created a pitch.
right. So we've
Right,
done
yeah.
this before, and I over the last 2 years was working on yet another pitch to send after we started working on the fan film for these characters,
Yes.
and and I was really crushed when I heard that Liefeld was doing the book because I thought, well, there goes all the work. I mean, like I came up with like a 3-phase launch plan that would work, and one of those, the first phase, was kind of a multiversal story connecting everything and using the blue ribbon coming off of what came previously in the new
Right.
Crusader stuff. And what I did was I created a Crusaders team where there was one represented from each launch, so that it was stuff that would tie into every age of fan,
Hmm.
every generation that has liked these characters, and then through that a new world would be created on the ribbon, and that would be the launch. um so yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to put together, and then I see what comes through here, and it wasn't. It was just Rob drawing whatever he wanted to draw.
Yeah.
And yes, back to your point about Lancelot Strong, Prime.
Quote unquote draw.
Yeah, right. Back to your point about Lancelot Strong, Prime. I don't know how Lancelot Strong is in this book.
Yeah.
I don't understand that because Lancelot Strong was a character that Joe Simon created
Yeah.
Hmm.
when these characters were relaunched in the 60s during the Silver Age. He created the Fly, and he created Lancelot Strong, who was supposed to be the new Shield, the
Hmm.
same way that Barry Allen was the new Fly to Jay
Right,
Garrick,
yeah.
or the new
Right.
Flash to Jay Garrick's Flash. Um, well, in the 90s, when talk of a Fly movie started happening, and we had seen the box office come in on the Batman movies and the Superman movies and the legal battles that the Schuster and Siegel estate and the Kane estate had with DC for those characters, Simon's estate went to Archie and said, "Listen, you're going to create something off of a character that our grandfather had a part of creating. We should get something out of it." Well,
Rightfully
and
so.
rightly so. And like the other characters, like Superman and Batman, the courts sided with the creator. But putting in that there is a fee, and this is all this is stuff I've pieced together. So if there's anything I'm missing, anybody that is listening, any pieces of this legal issue that I'm missing, please let us know, fill us in.
Oh yeah.
But from what I've pieced together, there was a fee that Archie could pay to continue to use the characters of Lancelot Strong and the Fly, much the same way that DC does with Superman and Batman. Well, Archie deemed it not financially worth it. And that's why, after the 90s, you no longer see the Fly in these books. It's always Fly Girl, because they own Fly Girl. Simon's estate had nothing to do with that. And they own Lancelot Strong. The Simon estate does.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is, how is it that Lancelot Strong showed up in this book? Did they pay the Simon estate for that? Or did Liefeld just draw whatever he wanted?
Well, there's probably that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Archie did fork up the money for Lancelot Strong, because Rob was like, "Oh no, I really need him. I really need him, guys."
Maybe.
Well, depending on what line of BS you listen to, Rob evidently took a severe cut in what he normally would charge to do art.
Yeah.
Because he was so passionate about the project.
Sure.
So I could see Archie being the stingy bastards that they are.
Because let's face it, they've never put money into these characters. Not the right
Oh, no.
money.
No. I mean, this right here is the first time that there's ever been decent money put into these characters. If you Batman it and be the world's greatest detective going, okay, so the money that they saved getting Rob Liefeld to do the art, they could then take and pay the money to the Simon estate and go, hey, we want this character to show up in 2 panels.
Yeah.
Because that's the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 panels, but it's also 2 double splash pages. So
yeah, he's just standing there. He's not doing anything.
Right. But if you're going to do that, why Lancelot Strong and not the Fly?
I'm wondering if it had something to do with the fact that this is all S.H.I.E.L.D. and it was supposed to be all the S.H.I.E.L.D.s dealing with this cable S.H.I.E.L.D.
That could make some sense, I suppose.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. That could make some sense.
And most importantly, why the hell was Bob Phantom not represented
right? Bob
in
Phantom.
this issue? Because Bob Phantom is the heart and soul of the Crusaders.
I just texted Rob. He said he was on those pages that were deleted from it. So
he was
supposed
to. Okay.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. There you go. That makes sense.
I understand that Bob Phantom has a very unfortunate name, which is, I'm sure, what keeps people from using him. But
I don't want to hear it. Dusty got a frickin' shout out and
Dusty,
a panel in this issue. If Dusty gets some recognition, Bob fucking Phantom needs to get some recognition.
If you go back and check out those early old Golden Age Bob Phantom issues, yes, the name is unfortunate. Yes, the costume is revealing. But the idea behind the character, I mean, oftentimes I've heard people say that the Black Hood would be kind of the Mighty Crusaders Batman, and I don't think that that's true, because he's not really the Punisher either. He's not just guy with guns, but he's also not Batman. He's not scary, and depending on what incarnation you're looking at, sometimes he's almost even magical.
Well, I mean, in this version, he's supernatural.
He's supernatural, right? So
he's more Ghost Rider in a way,
right? If you look at the old comics, Bob Phantom is the Batman.
Interesting.
And
if you don't want to go Batman, you can dial it down a little bit and go Blue Beetle.
Sure, but he is certainly that kind of a character, and yeah, it's unfortunate that he did not show up, but it's unfortunate that a lot of things went the way they went.
It's unfortunate Rob Liefeld's name was attached to it.
How about let's talk about something somewhat positive here. Um, let's talk about the work of David Gallagher.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? I got to give him a couple of
A
rounds of
huge
applause
round of applause to David
because he
Gallagher.
took art, he made a story, he crafted a story and made it make as much sense as it possibly could in 20 pages.
Yeah.
Should have been 28 pages.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I expect to get at least 28 to 26 to 28 pages of actual art and story and then ads. Totally understand that.
How do you think somebody like me feels, who is a completist with these things? I bought every variant cover.
Ooh.
Wow.
I had what was it? It was something like 8 or 9 variant covers that were put out with this
Oh
book.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they're going to make their money back.
And I bought them all because because that's who I am when it comes to these characters.
That's right. You have a giant S on the chest, and it doesn't stand for Superman.
It stands for
It stands for sucker. I kid. I absolutely kid. Actually,
Yeah.
some of those variant covers
Some of them really
are
cool.
more gorgeous than
Yeah.
what's in the
Yeah.
actual book.
I can't wait for him to show up in the dollar bins.
Yeah, well, that's where they'll end up, I'm sure. Some of them.
Sadly, yes. Yes.
Well, all right. So let's sum up. Let's each of us do give a sum up of our view of the Shield one shot from Mighty Crusaders Archie's line. I will start because I will probably be the most positive of the three of us. It was.
You don't know. I
It
mean,
was
Oh,
not.
do
we don't know.
Is this one of those things where we have to say something nice?
No, you don't
Oh,
have
okay.
to. No, you say how you feel. It was nice to see the character back in print,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nice to see the Mighty Crusaders get a little bit of attention, good or bad. You know, they actually got a little bit of attention off of this, and despite the ridiculousness of it, there are, while some awful, awful, awful pages of art, there are some beautiful pages
There are.
of
Oh
art
yeah.
as well.
Oh,
And and now it's done, and hopefully, I would say that people will get it out of their head before they watch our fan film next year when it comes out. Dragonus, what's your final word on the book?
I kind of wish I could have gotten those 8 minutes back that I took to read this book.
It took you that long?
Yeah, I was.
That tickled me. That tickled me.
But I guess
You're never getting them back ever.
I know. It was, like you said, nice to see it in print, and there are some really, really beautiful pinups in there that were used as pages. And I think the best thing about this is that Jerry Ordway variant cover.
Now, Mr. X, that's the one that you read, I think.
Yep.
It's the Jerry Ordway cover.
But other than that, I was not thrilled at all with this, and I guess, I mean, I'm not really even surprised with Rob Liefeld anymore.
Yeah. Mr. X, final thoughts?
Despite the controversy that is surrounded by the name Liefeld, Liefeld is a part of my collecting history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because, you mentioned X-Force. Yep. I remember New Mutants. I remember Cable. I remember Deadpool. I was a Deadpool fan before the rest of the world was like, oh, yeah, Deadpool's cool. I love that movie. Oh, do you like the comic books? He's in a comic? Liefeld has created and has been a part of some monumental things.
Yep.
When it comes to comics. That being said, if he was so passionate about the Mighty Crusaders and those characters to take a pay cut and jump into bed with Archie and do this project, finish what you start.
He got bored.
I get bored a lot too. guess what?
Yeah.
When I make a commitment, I finish it. And that is my problem. There is so much potential here. So much potential to bring the Mighty Crusaders into the mainstream where they fucking belong to be. Because regardless if you've listened to our 5-part miniseries about the history of the Crusaders, these characters started it all.
Yeah.
They had the firsts.
They had the first patriotic hero.
Before Marvel, before DC, they were the first for all of the things we take for granted in superhero comic books.
The first death. The first
Siblings.
brothers. Yes, sibling superheroes.
Sibling superheroes, yes.
The first crossover. It predates the Human Torch Namor crossover in Marvel Comics by a couple of months. Now, it isn't necessarily a crossover of the Wizard and the Shield. It's the villain who starts in the one story and then, but it's the first crossover. It's the first shared universe.
These characters deserve the attention that the big three get where their characters are concerned. And unfortunately, because of the folks who run Archie are too tight-pocketed, and because of Liefeld's sensibilities, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't a part of it. All I can see from what I've seen on social media, finish what you start. Then bitch about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to finish what you start, don't start it.
Well, and here's the thing about that story that is set up here. The cliffhanger is, to save the multiverse, Joe Higgins must die. Well, if 10 years from now, Archie goes to relaunch the characters again, then I guess the multiverse survived, so I guess Joe died.
Or we just ignore that this happened.
But I'll tell you what. Anybody out there listening, anybody from Archie that is out there listening, Mr. X, Dragonus Prime, and myself, we're nobodies. We're not Rob Liefeld. We don't command the pay that Rob Liefeld commands. You can pay us what would be considered crap pay.
We'll work for peanuts.
Yeah, we will work for peanuts, essentially.
I don't have a peanut allergy, so I will work for peanuts.
And we, the three of us, could relaunch your Mighty Crusaders line, connecting to the blue ribbon and using everything. Find us and we will do it, Archie. We'll do it.
We will make you money without you having to spend a shit ton of it on this project.
I'll even go so far as to say that I will make sure every costume looks the same from panel to panel.
And that is the perfect way to end this review.
Absolutely. So, I mean, come on, folks. If you've read The Mighty Crusaders, The Shield #1 one-shot, because it's no longer a miniseries.
Colon's a great word for
that. Yeah. Well, where it lives, in my colon. Let us know. Reach out to us. We're everywhere. You can reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Head on over to our Patreon. Hey, go over to YouTube. We're there too.
Oh, yeah, we are.
What the hell is your opinion on what this bluster cluck of a relaunch that should have been? We really want to know your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, hate it, in between. Just tell us.
We also really want to say, be sure from this point forward to show all the support you can to Mr. David Gallagher.
Yeah, no kidding.
Who took over something that was really a mess and made something at least worth following panel to panel on.
Whatever he does next, I'm there. It does not matter what it is. I'll be there to support him.
Well done.
Because
David
thank you
Gallagher.
very much. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's it. Join us next time on my big fat pull list. I am one of your hosts, Dr. Impact.
I am Dragonus Prime.
And I am the incredibly opinionated Mr. X. Telling you, don't stop believing in comic book magic. But it wasn't in this. Just saying. Just saying.
What he means is you and everyone you know should subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on every app possible.
We'll table and we'll get into it.
I could have reread this book during the break, but I decided, hey, I'm going to go take a piss. I'm going to go grab a small snack, put that in my mouth. I'm going to check out my TikTok because people were commenting and liking and following me. And I still had time to grab, as Casanova Frankenstein says, yes, of course you can bring the brewskis.
I haven't watched that in a while.
We need to do a review of that movie.
I agree.
That needs to be an episode.
I agree.
I don't think
And
I've ever seen it.
Mystery Men?
You've never seen Mystery Men?
Oh, that's Mystery Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So Jeffrey Rush as Casanova Frankenstein.
I forgot
Yeah,
that
you
was his
probably
character
just
name.
forgot the name, yeah.
No, I love Mystery Man. I just had
That's-
forgot. It's been ages.
And you drop the ball. Not only drop the ball, you take the ball, you rub it against your taint, and then you toss it out to sea. We got some great shit for the ending of this. For the ending of this. For the ending of this. For the ending of this.